The purpose of this component of the webinar is to provide viewers and jurisdictions that are considering applying for participation in this project with an overview of what is meant by criminal justice coordinating councils, how the promotion and facilitation of these planning bodies can lead to better criminal justice practices and policy, and how the proposed project being launched between the Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority and Loyola's Center for Criminal Justice Research Policy and Practice seeks to advance these goals. Loyola University's participation in this project is being supported by the MacArthur Foundation and continues a long history that Loyola faculty and students have had in collaborative projects with state and local government on justice-related projects. Specifically, we work closely not only with the Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority, but a variety of other state and local criminal justice and social service agencies in Illinois. To make more effective use of the state's criminal justice resources, the Illinois Governor's Commission on Criminal Justice and Sentencing Reform recommended that the Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority, the state's criminal justice research and grant-making agency, provide technical assistance to local jurisdictions to form county-level criminal justice coordinating councils. Criminal justice coordinating councils convene elected and appointed executive-level policymakers to collaboratively address issues facing the justice system and its constituent agencies. Though criminal justice coordinating councils vary widely in membership and structure, generally speaking, a criminal justice coordinating council is a partnership of decision-makers who have a stake in the effective administration of justice. Although all jurisdictions in Illinois can benefit from a more informed and coordinated response to crime and victimization, in order for the state to develop the most effective and efficient processes and test these processes, the current solicitation is focused on applying the process to a limited number of jurisdictions. As a result, a decision was made early on in the process to focus these initial efforts on jurisdictions that had a relatively large number of sentenced individuals to prison. And so the top 30 counties in Illinois outside of Cook County were identified based on the number of prison sentences imposed over a 2-year period. As would be expected, these 30 counties tend to be the ones with or near large metropolitan areas, and also tend to have higher numbers of crimes reported to the police, arrests, court filings, and as a result, prison sentences. It is important to note that these 30 counties are not necessarily seen as overusing prison, but rather they are jurisdictions where a better understanding of how their justice system operates and how they use correctional resources help the state understand the challenges and issues facing local justice system practitioners and policy makers. These are also the areas where strategic planning processes may also provide substantial benefit to the local jurisdiction. While the state government's role in criminal justice policy and practice is significant, including legislation that defines what constitutes a crime and how that crime is legally classified, and also the state government operates justice agencies such as the state's prison system, most criminal justice practice and decision-making occurs at the local level. Across the more than 800 municipal police departments, the 102 separately elected state's attorneys and sheriffs in each of Illinois' 102 counties, the county public defenders and private counsel, and the judicial circuits where judges and probation staff work. Indeed, even state agencies such as the Illinois Department of Corrections have parole officers that work in specific Illinois communities. Thus, when thinking about how criminal justice planning should be structured, the county as the level of aggregation or disaggregation makes the most sense. Most municipal police departments are within the boundaries of a single county. Prosecutorial decisions are made within a single county by the state's attorney's office. Sheriffs are responsible for running jails across most of the counties, and when an individual is sentenced following the conviction of an offense, a judge in that county courthouse imposes a sentence and the person is supervised within that county if sentenced to probation. Upon release from prison, returning citizens go back to communities within counties and are supervised and access services within their communities. That said, most criminal justice agencies, as well as other social service providers, in each county have very little understanding and opportunity to learn about what the activities and efforts are of other agencies across the other components of the justice or social service system. While police may coordinate with and communicate regularly with county state's attorneys, this is usually regarding how specific cases will be handled, the need for evidence or testimony for specific cases, and rarely involves strategic planning or an understanding of how the decisions and policies of one component impact the workload, decisions, and policies of the other components. Part of the reason for this lack of coordination at the county level is how the justice system has been set up, with different agencies at different levels of government and across different branches of government. In most counties, the principal criminal justice leaders are separately elected or appointed by elected officials, and there is no single one of those elected officials that is responsible for the justice system as a whole. In other words, there is no official head of the criminal justice system, or criminal justice system czar. Still, there are a number of examples where a broad array of elected and appointed officials within jurisdictions, like counties, have come together to address a pressing need or develop a strategic plan around a crime or specific justice system issue. In many of these instances, these efforts have been out of necessity due to an imminent threat or crisis, such as jail crowding, an increase in gun violence, or a spate of drug overdoses. However, often these collaborative efforts are not continued once the immediate issues have been reduced and the potential for broader, long-term strategic planning is lost. One of the goals of this project is to facilitate the implementation and maturation of criminal justice coordinating councils so as to illustrate the potential and utility of a broad and long-term strategic planning effort, and also to develop an infrastructure and process to regularly incorporate research, evaluation, and policy analysis into the local criminal justice planning effort. One of the issues recognized by many in the state is that local agencies are required to report a lot of information and data to the state, ranging from information regarding individuals arrested, reported through the Illinois State Police's Criminal History Record Information System, to aggregate annual or semi-annual data reported through things like the Uniform Crime Reporting Program, case filings and dispositions in the courts reported to the Administrative Office of the Illinois Courts, probation caseloads and jail population statistics, etc. These data are reported by local jurisdictions, either municipalities or counties, to various state agencies. And these agencies then aggregate those data and use them to describe statewide trends and patterns, and also incorporate them into statewide planning efforts. While the Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority has attempted to centralize and make these data available via the web in various formats, many local jurisdictions lack the knowledge of these data sources and the ability to examine and present the information in a way that can guide local practice and policy. Through the project, one of the goals and products will be to take all of these data that are reported and perform analyses of the information and communicate it back to the criminal justice coordinating councils in a more meaningful way. Through this process, not only will the state be able to better understand the unique issues facing local jurisdictions in Illinois, but through this process it will also be possible to engage with the county coordinating councils to better understand what this information does and does not tell us about crime and justice in that community. Thus, the coordinating councils are to be seen as a mechanism by which local criminal justice practitioners and policymakers can discuss their needs, strategies, and goals with the state, and vice versa. Through this process, it is expected that local justice practitioners and policymakers will not only learn more about their own local justice system, but also how the state's efforts and policies regarding crime control impact them. Similarly, the state will learn more about how local justice operations and practices impact the state-level functions, such as the use of prison, state-funded substance abuse and mental health treatment services, and also what the unique needs are across Illinois' diverse counties. To provide some theoretical perspective, or at least a visual to think about how program, policy, and strategy development should work and evolve, this figure depicts how things should work. As is evidenced by this figure, the four main stages of the process of program or policy development and evolution is not linear. It does not necessarily lead to a specific endpoint, but rather, it is a cyclical process seeking continual improvement and advancement. In order to improve the effectiveness and efficiency of the justice system, we should always strive to be as close to the ideal process as possible. This process of review and seeking continual improvement can be viewed at a number of different levels, which are illustrated in the center of the diagram, such as at the individual staff level, for example, annual performance reviews, at the unit level within an agency, at the agency level, and ultimately at the level of the justice system. While annual performance reviews and setting goals and strategies for achieving those goals is common at the staff level, it is less prevalent at the agency level and almost non-existent at the system level. To understand the concept or idea behind the process, I'll walk you through the stages of the cyclical planning process to give you some ideas of how it can work and the types of support we seek to provide to counties through this project. The process begins with the ability to objectively and accurately identify and gauge the extent and nature of the specific problem we are seeking to address, which is part of what the proposed project with the counties intends to assist with. Assessing problems of crime and justice should start with some effort to objectively and accurately measure the crime problem and how the justice system is operating or functioning. Importantly, we need to recognize that the justice system is highly fragmented and involves a wide range of both justice agencies as well as social service providers, citizens, and civic groups, and also involves state, county, and municipal levels of government across the executive, legislative, and judicial branches of government. We also need to recognize that individual agencies may have strategies for how they are approaching specific crime issues within the communities they serve. However, without any coordination or sharing of those plans across the other components of the system, the efforts may not be as effective or as efficient as they might be. Thus, the first stage of the project will be providing each of the selected counties with a fairly detailed examination of the extent and nature of the crime problem within their county, and how the various justice agencies within the county have responded and are operating. The initial analyses and information that will be provided and customized for each county will come exclusively from information and data reported to the various state agencies, and will be intended to start the strategic planning process by making Criminal Justice Coordinating Council members aware of the big picture of crime and justice system operations across the different components of the system. Thus, the planning process will start with a common understanding of how the justice system as a whole is operating for all participants, and then facilitate a discussion of what additional information would be needed to develop a more detailed and sophisticated understanding of the system and the crime problems facing the jurisdiction. Importantly, through these conversations, what is not evident in the data can be discussed from the experiences of those in the individual counties. Throughout the process of the project, staff from the Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority, Loyola University, and the other partners on the project from the National Governors Association and the National Criminal Justice Association will work with the coordinating councils to facilitate and guide them through the strategic planning process. This facilitation will include research and analytics support, identification of evidence-based practices, the provision of training and seminars to coordinating council members regarding specific topics identified by the council as needed to advance their strategic planning process, as well as facilitated development of logic models and facilitated development of plans for conducting process and impact evaluations to gauge the strategic planning and reform efforts. This support will be provided through a blend of on-site, face-to-face meetings and discussions, as well as webinars and regional conferences and seminars that will bring members of the Criminal Justice Coordinating Councils together. One of the challenges to working within specific criminal justice agencies in specific jurisdictions and having to focus day-to-day on the individuals we serve is that rarely are we given an opportunity to take a step back and take a broader view of how our efforts relate to the larger goals and activities of the justice system. One of the goals of the Criminal Justice Coordinating Councils is to provide local practitioners and policymakers with a broader perspective, moving from a detailed understanding of their own agency's operations and performance, which most leaders already have, to a more comprehensive understanding of the larger system's operations and performance. In some ways, this just provides a different perspective on the information and ideas presented in the previous slide, but this time presenting the ideas in terms of perspective. For most criminal justice leaders in individual jurisdiction, their view is often limited to the proverbial 500-foot view, the overall operations of their agency. But there are few opportunities or mechanisms to get the 5,000-foot view. We see county criminal justice coordinating councils as providing the support and opportunity to achieve that 5,000-foot view. so that practitioners and policymakers can become more aware of and understand the interconnectedness of their efforts with the other units and branches of government, and other agencies' efforts and operations. If all of our work is focused on the 100-foot view or the 500-foot view, we often fail to understand how it contributes to the 5,000 or 50,000-foot view. Put another way, we may lose sight of the forest because of our focus on the trees. Finally, I'd like to provide an overview of what we expect to provide to the Criminal Justice Coordinating Councils, and also what we expect and hope to learn. Through a collaborative, facilitated discussion and planning process, the goal of the project is to assist counties in developing a strategic plan for how to improve public safety, justice system effectiveness and efficiency, and how to institutionalize and carry forward this process into the future. This strategic plan and the research, analysis, and discussions among the Coordinating Council members and the project team will also go into the production of this plan, will be something the agencies and organizations within the county will be able to use to guide future efforts and can potentially be used as content for funding proposals and educational materials for newly hired staff across components of the justice system. The information generated in the strategic plan that's produced can also be something that can inform the media and public about the justice system and its operations within a specific community. The project team from the Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority in Loyola will provide each coordinating council with an objective, data-driven examination of crime and justice system operations and functioning, and will also provide research and analytic support to answer specific questions within the selected jurisdictions needed to develop their strategic plans. The goal is to provide county coordinating councils with some of the tools that can assist them in engaging in a strategic planning process that results in a set of goals that can be achieved. In addition, through the project, it is intended that jurisdictions will be provided with training for coordinating council members on specific issues or topics they feel are needed in order to advance their strategic planning and system improvement efforts. The important aspect to this is that needs are locally identified, not imposed on them by the state. As an example, in some jurisdictions they may want to know more about risk assessment, pretrial supervision, or prisoner reentry programs or policies. The project team also wants to make sure that the process is viewed as a learning opportunity and experience for everyone involved. To quote a colleague of mine at Loyola, learning takes place at a table of partners. The project is seen as a partnership between the state of Illinois, local criminal justice practitioners and policymakers, and independent researchers. Everyone involved has something unique to contribute, and everyone involved will have the opportunity to learn from each other.